Hello to all my beautiful subscribers. What I would like to do in this video is talk about the laptop market and talk about the fact that I don't like what the current trend is. I don't like where the laptop market is going. I think, yes, laptops are getting lighter and thinner and sexier, but we're losing a lot to get to that point, and I think we're losing too much and we're kind of going backwards. I think what the computing industry is doing is following the trend of what's happening with mobile phones, where they're trying to make laptops disposable devices that you change every few years. Now, maybe there's a better argument for mobile phones and tablets being like that. I still would like to replace the battery on my phone, but for laptops, it's a bigger issue, because a good laptop, if you buy the right one, maybe for a power user like myself, I'm self-employed via the internet, a laptop should last 3 or 4 years. But for other people that don't, need a power device, I would say a laptop should last about 6 or 7 years. If you're just doing word editing and, browsing the web, etc. But the way that the market is going, that's going to become less and less likely that will actually happen. Now, this laptop here is 15.6 inches, and I think that kind of half the 14-inch ones, most 15.6 and most 17-inch desktop replacement, in fact all 17-inch desktop replacement laptops, they are upgradable. You can replace the battery, you can upgrade the RAM, you can replace the SSD, and sometimes you can add a second or even third SSD if they've got the slots for it. So these are upgradable, and that is very important because it means that you can extend the lifespan of the device by maybe another couple of years. For example, right now with Premiere Pro, etc., this was getting a little bit sluggish when I was editing videos, but I can increase RAM to 32 gigabytes, I can replace the SSD with one with more storage and one that's got faster read and write speeds, and it will transform this device, and it'll stop the bottleneck, because I've got the RAM and I've got the storage that I need. That's very important to me. But of course I do want something light and sexy. I've spent the last week or so looking at laptops all the time, laptop reviews, checking prices, checking comments from users and different things, and trying to look at the limitations of certain devices to get a better idea of what I want, because I'm probably going to buy 2 laptops this year, or one laptop and a tablet, laptop hybrid, something portable that I can use for travelling. This one at 2 kilograms is a little bit too heavy. It's too heavy to take away, and I've got lots of conferences and I've got a weekend, a few weekends away, so that's something that I want to address. But the limitations that the computing companies are putting into devices now, it really does change. It changes everything, and not in a good way. I think it changes things from a buying point of view, from an upgradable point of view, but also from a repair point of view. So from a buying point of view, when you're ready to buy a device, you're going to be locked into whatever you buy. So you look at the vast majority of 13.3 inch laptops and below, some 14 inch ones as well. There's a lot of 14 inch ones that are now a 14 inch screen into a 13.3 inch chassis. Those ones generally, the current trend in the market is clearly that they should be thin, they should be light, they should be sexy, but very few of them let you upgrade the RAM. There's a few of them that allow you to replace the SSD, but you can't upgrade the RAM. And quite frequently you can't change the battery either. Now, what this means is when you're buying something, you either have to buy something which is good for you now, but that might not suit you later, or you might buy something that's too much for you now, but it'll allow you room to grow. Take something like the Microsoft Surface range, for example. Now, I had the Surface Pro 4, and it does have some limitations, and it's not the best for sitting on your lap and things like that. But I think they're fantastic devices. They're probably too expensive for what they are, but they are fantastic devices. And if you can pick up one second hand, it's a very attractive option. And at the weekend, I was in Curry's, a UK electrical shop, and I spent about 30 minutes looking at all these different laptops, because you read all these reviews and you try and get a picture of what these laptops are like, but you have to go into a shop sometimes and see what laptops are like. And yeah, I disagree with some of the comments online. I saw some people saying the Surface Book 2 was too big, and it's not, it's quite thin. But anyway, I was looking at the Surface range, and the Surface is a good example of what I'm trying to say, because you can buy one that's, say, an i5 CPU, and it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is DDR3. I don't know why they put the DDR3 in it instead of DDR4, but they've got 8 gigabyte of RAM, 128 gigabyte of storage. Now that's the cheapest option. Excuse me, that's the cheapest option. i5, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. But I have no doubt that many people who are interested in that will know that when they buy that, that might be sufficient for their needs just now, but maybe in a year or two it might not be. So what's your option? Well, if you upgrade to an i7 16 gigabyte model in 256, 512 or 1 terabyte, you need to pay a hefty premium. In fact, some of the models are more than twice the price as the base models. So you're kind of put in this position where, do I spend less money now and get something that should be okay just now, but down the line it's not going to have enough storage for me or enough RAM? Or do I pay extra to get something that perhaps is more than what I need, but it will give me room to grow into, over time as demands increase over time? So I think from a buying point of view as well, it's quite restrictive, because I've been looking at a lot of these options and I find a laptop I really like and I'm like, damn, it's only 8 gigabytes and the RAM is soldered onto the motherboard, so I can't replace it. So that means I would always have 8 gigabytes. And for someone who does video editing, that's obviously a concern. So from a buying point of view, it's a little bit frustrating. From an upgrading point of view, it's very frustrating as well, because if you do find that you don't have enough storage, if you do find that you don't have enough memory, the only option you have is to sell it. You have to trade it in and buy something different. But I think a bigger concern, or certainly a major concern, is the repair side of things. One of the best laptops I've had over the last 10 years was the Lenovo X220. Now I bought that second hand, but it was refurbished, and I took it travelling, and I backpacked in South America for a few years, and I recently gave it to my friend because he's doing a course or something, so I wasn't using it, I gave it to him. And when I gave it to him, the battery was dead, so he had to go out, he bought another battery. It was like £13 on Amazon, and the battery that I got, I replaced that as well. So since I've bought it, it's had 3 different batteries, but it still runs. I broke one of the USB ports, but it still runs, and it still runs quite well, and it's like 10 years old or 9 years old, whatever it is. Now, if I think about the lifespan of that laptop and the fact that someone else is using that every day now, I can't say the same about other laptops. One of the major complaints of, for example, the Surface range or the Dell XPS range is that the warranty is only 1 year. And if after a year the battery dies, what do? You can't do anything. You can't replace the battery. Physically, you can't do it without voiding, well, the warranty's dead, but you can't physically do it. These things are designed to be very difficult to take apart and put back in. Now I know that specific Dell models can have the battery replaced, but there's a lot of models, the thinner ones, that you can't. And that's an issue as well, because I know, having had that Lenovo for years, I used that for years, and I know that it doesn't matter how good a battery is, if you use it every single day, over the course of a few years, that battery will degrade. So the total capacity, well, the effective capacity, it could drop from, say, 6 hours to 5 to 4, till the end you get in 1 hour, and then all of a sudden happens what happened to my Lenovo, where it doesn't work and it needs to be replaced. With the Lenovo, you just click a button, pop it out, put another one back in. Fantastic. That is the way it should be. That's the way all laptops should be. But that's not the way that laptops are designed now. So when I was looking at things like the Microsoft Surface and XPS and all these different ones, this was always at the back of my mind, because you could be spending $1,000 or even $2,000 on a Microsoft Surface Pro 6, but if the battery dies in like a year and a half, there's nothing you can do. You can maybe go to like a third party, a company that tries to replace the battery, etc. But you're kind of screwed. And not just the battery, you can't change the RAM, you can't change the hard drive and all that as well. So there's a lot of limitations. And also these thin and light sexy devices, they're losing ports. This laptop has got lots of ports. You've got 2 Thunderbolt 3s, USB type A over there. I've got Ethernet and more USB ports over there. So this has got 3 USB type A, 2 Thunderbolt type Cs, an HDMI, headphone slot, SD card reader, Ethernet, Kensington slot. It's got everything that I need. Now, I'm happy to accept a few limitations when it comes to buying something thin and light and sexy, but we're seeing more and more laptops being released, certainly in the Apple world with the MacBooks and MacBook Airs, but also with Dell and with Microsoft, and even with a lot of Lenovo's as well, where the thin and light devices will sometimes only have one Thunderbolt 3 port. The Microsoft Surface Pro 6 only has one USB 3.0. It's not even Thunderbolt. That's the only port you have. And I can live without an SD card reader. The SD card reader is actually one of the most important things to me, but it's a USB dongle that you can buy that's quite small, so that's not an issue. But for some of the other ones, you're going to have to carry around a large USB hub, a large Thunderbolt hub, just to get the connections that you want. And I guess that's something I don't like. I can live with, but it is a little bit frustrating because I think we're losing a lot when in this drive to get thin and sexy. But the bigger issue is not being able to upgrade, and another big issue is the fact that outside of a 1-year warranty, which, let's be honest, if you buy a laptop for £2,000, $2,000, and you only get a 1-year warranty, that's bullcrap in my opinion, because that could break after a year. But the fact you can't upgrade and the fact you can't replace the battery is a big concern. Now, I will do a follow-up video to this in a day or so. I've bought a laptop. I have bought a laptop, ordered it last night. I looked at lots of different options and I have bought one. And I'll do a separate video and explain why I bought the one that I did. But I'd like to put it over to you guys. I'd like to hear from you and let me know what you think about the current laptop industry. I've been buying laptops since about 2002. I was probably one of the first people I knew to buy them because I was working online. I needed them. I needed a laptop when I was travelling, etc. I know laptops were around before that, but as far as thin and light laptops, I was buying them before most other people. And I've always been a big fan of using laptops. I do have a desktop PC, but I always love buying laptops. But I do think that the laptop industry is going the same way as the mobile phone industry, where products are designed to be thrown out or sold after a year. The company will just wash their hands of the laptop after a year. And I think that shows a lack of faith in their products, really, when you think about it. But despite that, I may end up just buying one of these devices in the future that does have all these limitations. It doesn't have enough ports, that doesn't have a replaceable battery. It's, as a buyer, you're kind of limited to what your options are in the market. I don't like where the trends are going, but I think that if I could, look into the future in the next 2 years, I believe this is going to become a bigger issue. We're going to see laptops going down this road more and more. They're going to get thinner and lighter and sexier, but those devices might have to be replaced after 2 years instead of 4 or 5. Let me know what you think about this, guys. I know this has been a little bit of a rant video, but I think this is an important thing to discuss. I think this is something that I'm sure most of you guys have realised, over the last 3 or 4 years at least. This is becoming more and more of an issue, and from a buying perspective, it's a little bit discouraging. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Over to you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, so please do leave a comment. Thanks for all the continued support, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Take care.